All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is a special edition of TFN Sanity. We have a wonderful guest with us today, Miss Julia Dorny, all the way from Germany, huh? How are you today?
Thanks, I'm good. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Okay,
we
so
have
we lost
Steve-O
Matt.
with us, of course.
All right, so we're losing
You
Matt.
did.
So, yeah, we're losing Matt. So I'm Steve, photographer for the Fighting News, here with Julia Dorny, all the way, like Matt said, from Berlin, Germany. How you doing today? What's going on? And thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, I'm glad that you're having me on the show. I'm feeling great. You know, Sundays are my rest days, so my only day off in the week pretty much, which is actually never true. You always have so many things that you do, right? But yeah, I moved here 11 months ago from Germany to pursue my fighting career.
Yeah, and you started off, let's go back. When did you get into martial arts?
I got into martial arts at the age of 7. I was very young when I decided that I actually like that martial arts world and sport for me, obviously. Then I've been ever since I've been competing since I was like 7. So it's been almost next year. It's going to be 27 years.
Wow. And started off in a judo class?
Correct.
And who's your judo sensei?
Well, one of my very first senseis was Gerhard Schneider. He was like a judo legend, not just in Germany, but also in the world.
Yeah.
And obviously, when I walked in as like a little child, I was like, wow, all these senseis, black belts, you know, national team. And I was so, I don't know, I was just so impressed by all that. And I was like, one day I'll be one of them.
Wow. And then, so you're training judo, you're in Germany, you're winning tournaments. You're like, describe that journey for me.
Wow. This is, I can try to make it the short version or the long version.
I like the
But
long version.
of course. Well, you know, from the beginning on, as I said, it was pretty clear that Julia is into judo. And so obviously I was training, even as a little child, I was training like 3 times a week, sometimes even 4. And I was like competing from early age on, and I kind of liked it. And then when I was 12, I had the special training to go on the special school for physical education for all the Olympic sports. And so I went. It used to be called Werner Seelenbinder Sportschule.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, it's like the thing in Berlin, you know, and in Germany, like a lot of people actually moved there to do that stuff. So yeah, I've been competing in judo. I was in the national team, and I just did my thing. And I obviously, like, everywhere I traveled back then, it was just judo, 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 and I was just in my judo world. But like, let's say in 2014, just before the Olympics, they no 2015, they had changed the judo rules, so there were no leg grabs allowed. There was no touching below the obi. The obi is the belt, you know.
Yeah.
So all my technique profile, I could not really like stick to it because it wasn't allowed anymore. We called them sutemi vatsa. So all my stuff, I was just basically kind of losing it. And then there was a time when obviously I wanted to still fight. And then when Ronda Rousey became famous, and one of my friends, eventually in 2014, she became the amateur world champion in her class. I think it's, yeah, strawweight. And I was like, wow. So MMA
Wow.
is technically the way, so I can still like kind of fighting and my judo and all that, and but also have to add new elements, you know. So I had my last individual competition was the German nationals in 2016, when I decided, okay, I just don't do it anymore. So I was, since I was 17, by the way, which was like very early, no, yeah, 17, which was early, I started fighting Bundesliga, like kind of Champions League. I'm sure you know Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I've had also fought in Bundesliga. So after I decided to not fight individually anymore, I was just fighting Bundesliga. But then I figured, when you put all the hard training into MMA as well and judo, you cannot, do too many things at the same time because it's just not working. Because back then, when I was 26, I was competing in judo, in sumo, in BJJ, and grappling, and MMA. So I was like, this was just a little too much. My body could tell, like, obviously you can do it for a short amount of time, but I was just like, yeah, I want to keep going. I want to do everything.
And this was all amateur.
That was all amateur, yeah.
All amateur, yeah.
So and then in 2018, because before that I was a world medalist already, European medalist, whatever, but I wanted to have the double gold. I wanted to become the world and European champion in my class, so featherweight. So in 2018, I became European champion and world champion. And then for me, it was clear, okay, now since I have, achieved the things that I wanted to achieve, I'm going to turn pro.
Wow. And then you were doing some pro fights in Germany? Or
yeah,
you
I had like
you here?
Oh, it was just so complicated. I just became pro and it went really well. I was 2-0 back then. And then in Germany, I don't know how it was here. I think it wasn't as bad, honestly. Remember COVID happened?
Yeah.
So for 2.5 years, we couldn't do anything. It was like locked, no gyms, no training, basically nothing. You couldn't even go to work. It was just like home office, and we weren't even allowed to move too far from the houses where we lived. We had like a radius, like you cannot walk more than 10 meters from your house door and like stuff. And I was like luckily having my dog, so I was still able to train and stuff.
Yeah.
But still, like kind of training, going back to your routine, it was like illegal. If they would have found you training with other people, you could have gone to prison for that. Can you imagine? This is so crazy. So obviously COVID really took away some time from me, So, and then, well, what do we have? We have 2023 now. In 2022, I was only able to fight. It's been like 3 years in the meantime. So then I fought. And yeah, then I was like, okay, since I have my P1 visa, I'm just gonna move to the States, because I was supposed to actually do it like way before when COVID happened, but you couldn't travel. There was no vaccination, nothing.
Right.
But honestly, in the meantime, I also achieved a lot, like in my professional, like journalistic career, So I was like, okay, well, there's always a benefit in a negative thing. So I was like going on that, like crazy on that, which was like super successful and everything. And then I was like, okay, well, now I have this and that, and now I'm just gonna move to the States. That's it.
Yeah. And how did you pick American Top Team to train?
Well, I was there. I had like a tryout training, which went really well. So they already had accepted me, but then I obviously wanted to go train with Mike Brown himself. So I was training with Mike. We did like 3-4 rounds together, and he said, Julia, congratulations, welcome to the team. You're a great addition to the heavy girls, women's division, whatever. So, and I'm like, yes, I made it, obviously. And then I had to find a place in Coconut Creek, close to the gym.
Yeah. And so when you made it to the team, what was that tryout like? Tell me.
Well, the first thing was a Saturday sparring, which is like a light sparring. So we had like sparring. Obviously, I did 5 rounds. That was the first training. And then I think 2 days later on Monday, I went to see Mike and then train with him. Like, like everything, like stand up, judo, grappling, transitions.
Right. So on the practice the day before, it was strictly girls or with the whole crew?
Well, the sparring that I did was only with girls.
And who was the sparring with?
Well, there were a few people on the mat, but I think they had sent me to fight with Michelle Montague.
Okay. Yeah, because we know a lot of the girls there.
Yeah, like, it's so funny because in IMF, which is the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, we eventually both become world champions. She became the world champion in lightweight, and I became the world champion in featherweight. And I became it in 2018, and she 1 year later, so in 2019. And I was like, wow. And obviously, people had like compared us so much. Wow, they could be, siblings. They look like sisters, or maybe even twins. Because from our physique and style, we're so alike. And so yeah, when I sparred with her, it was just so cool because we knew us before and we were friends. But then like being on the mat with her fighting was just so nice. I really I just have nothing but good memories.
Yeah. So you're training with American Top Team, best gym in Florida. and you like want to become a professional MMA fighter. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
And you've fought 4 times professional,
Yeah.
and you're 2-2.
Yeah, I know when you just see it with the numbers, you could be like, okay, that really sucks,
Yeah.
but I think obviously some things happen that you cannot influence, talking about mental health, talking about, blacking out, zoning out,
Yeah.
the same way, this is my key learning, like the same way you're training your body and like in
Yeah.
physical education, you also have to train your mind, right? So I knew that like in the past, I had this like thing with my mind sometimes, but usually I was able to just, get over it. But in my last fight in Invicta, I was just, well, everything was great. My camp was great. My warm up was great. My walk-in was great. And when they said, touch gloves, ready, fight, I was zoned out.
Wow.
I was so zoned out. So yeah, when you see that and people saw me and they're like, what's wrong with Julia? Like, what happened? Is she hurt? Like
Yeah.
what? And even me, I'm like, oh my God, like when obviously I lost in the first round. Not obviously, I lost in the first round.
Yeah.
Clean submission by my opponent, nothing but respect. And I was like there. I'm like, wow, I still wasn't there. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to put
Well,
in
yeah.
words. Anyway,
Some days you're on, and some days you're off.
right?
It's this boxer, we saw a professional boxing fight a few like last month, Trevor Bryan, Don King Promotions, and his trainer kept saying, throw the right, throw the right, throw the right. You never saw the right come. He was out of it as well. He wasn't there. And it happens. You're not the only one. But you live and you learn, and you take it to your next fight. So many people like yourself try to get on that, even to fight for them, for PFL and Invicta and all these companies. It's hard to do, especially for women, because there's only like 2 women fights out of 10 or 12. There's not a
Right.
lot of women fights. And women fighters, they back out a lot too. So there's a lot of canceled fights. So going forward, what would you like? What's next? You went into the PFL tournament. Tell me about that.
Okay, well, now you said what's next, and now you're going back to the past. So you have to
Yeah,
make a decision.
yeah. Well, I wanna find out about the PFL tournament, because people you train with, won the PFL tournament. So that's very inspiring. Not only won, but won. Julia won a bunch of times.
That's true. Well,
Yeah, Kayla won a bunch of times.
oh yeah, and she will rock again. We also train
Yeah.
together, and I think she's a great inspiration for a lot of people, not just women. And obviously, she also, when she lost her last fight, she was like unbeaten, right?
Yeah.
And she's a role model, like regardless. And like people gave her such a hard time. Oh my God, don't you imagine? Like the athlete already has a problem with the situation himself. Like why would people always ask those kind of questions? Anyway,
Yeah.
I think what I've seen with her and experienced, that she just digested it and she moved on, and she decided to move on. And obviously she's back now in the cage very soon against I think Julia Budd dropped out. There's another girl that she's fighting now, Aspen Ladd, I think. And so I think, what? It happens to the best people in the world. It happens
Yes.
for a reason. Obviously, you have to be smart and make it work for yourself in terms of like finding a solution, for that problem,
Yeah.
for what's going on, work on that and just go. Because even if you lose or if you win, like if you're a good person, I feel like people still look up to you. People still feel inspired by you because they see that you're still going, even though you lost. And whatever, it's like in life, it's not just
Yeah.
about losing or winning. Of course, there's a lot more, and when you realize, okay, we love that sport, we're very passionate about it, and yes, losing hurts to everybody, but it's also important to learn that, to deal with those kind of feelings, to deal with the defeat, what it does to you, whatever. And this the planet is still turning around 365 days for a year, 24
Yeah.
hours, 4 days around the sun. So what can I say? This is it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, it's your life and nobody else's life, right? It's not
Yeah.
that you're forced to do that. No, it's your own decision. So regardless, obviously, there's a lot of like media that want to jump on that train and make money with it and whatever. So I think obviously it's tough, but it just makes you stronger at the end of the day, because we are here to just learn. Humans are on the
Yeah.
planet to learn.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's sort of kind of like, Kayla, her dream was to win this championship, and she did it, and then she defended it and did it again, and and now the her goal is to win it again, so
Right.
it's she, and that's what strives people, that's what makes them go to the gym, um and you guys have a similar background, judo, her background's judo, judo since she was same like you, little.
Yeah.
And she, you know she's worldwide, she's known through that platform of PFL. It's you're almost there, you join tournaments every year, and you hope for the best.
100%.
Yeah. So you just had a past a fight. You just said in October you just had a fight, and before that is what we wanted to talk about. You won a pillow fighting championship tournament. So
Yeah.
tell us how you got involved with that.
Well, it's pretty easy actually. Like Invicta was supposed to have their show in June,
Yeah.
and obviously I had been training for that, and then the entire card, the entire show was postponed. First, I think it was to September, and then October. But I was like so ready because I had been training since like March as of this year, and I was just like, I want to compete now. So
Yeah.
then this possibility came up with PFC, and so I went. And I just enjoyed it because it's like fighting, it's competing, and
Yeah.
the risk of injury is definitely not as high as on MMA, for sure not. And but for me, like feeling wise, it's still like I'm excited, I want to win, a lot of like adrenaline going through my veins. So as I enter, like I'm in my tunnel, it doesn't matter if there's a pillow or just hands or kicks, whatever. Like I take whatever. And then yeah, we flew into the Otto Games in North Carolina, and then Julia became the pillow fight world champion.
Yes. And what you won $5,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great.
Yes.
Do you defend it? Do you go back? What do you do?
Well, honestly, as so far, I don't really know. Obviously, they were talking about like a rematch and that I should fight there and there and there. But obviously, pillow fight's not my main, target goal, whatever. So definitely, it has to line up with MMA, with my schedule here and with my training. And if it fits, I'm definitely back on it because
Yeah.
I love it. And if not, then, that was a good experience. This is all I can say so far.
Yeah, Matt, we were just talking about pillow fighting
Yeah,
championships. Yeah.
I heard it. So, do you have any background in pillow fighting? Like, did you pillow fight when you were a kid, Julia? That was big when I was a kid. Pillow
Yeah.
fighting.
No, I didn't ever fight pillow before.
No,
So you
like
never hit someone with a pillow before
play
the.
fighting, play fighting.
No, not even that. Like because
No.
my brothers are way younger than me. So my youngest brother and I have 19 years of a difference, and the middle brother
Wow.
13 years of a difference. So there never was a chance to really fight with my little ones,
Are
I'm
they
sure.
into judo? Are they into judo, MMA, or anything?
Well, they were both my brothers were on the mat when I was coaching, and they liked it, but not as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them, like one is big into football, like soccer, and also coaching while he's studying, and the other one is like on the national team in basketball now. He's really tall, very talented, just like a mini
Wow.
version of me. No, like a younger version of me, not mini. He's way taller than me, and I'm
Wow.
already 5'10".
How tall? How tall is he?
He's like 1 meter 92, like 6'3" or something. Like
6'3", and still growing. You're saying?
yeah, he's only 14.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So obviously his goal is to move here to the States with me and to play for NBA.
That'd be great. Wow. This
Would be great.
the University of Florida just signed the tallest college player. He's 6'7".
Oh my God.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7'7". It's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah,
This is so tall.
17, 18 years old.
yeah. He's still young. Really skinny, but hey, he was a big recruit. So
Yeah, that's crazy. So what are your ambitions after the fighting career?
Well, since I studied journalism, corporate communication, and media studies, and worked as a journalist the past years, I'll definitely, go back to my journalism, news anchoring or just anchoring in general. Maybe do like sport commentating. I did that in the past, like commentating on the fights, being in the ring, post-fight interviews, commentating on the fights. So I would love to go back there and, do more of that for sure.
Right. And you have your own podcast now, right? You have a podcast?
Well, I do have a podcast. It's like almost 3 years old.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Women Hit Harder.
Women Hit
Women
Harder. How'd you come up with that title?
Man, it just happened to I was thinking and thinking and thinking. And first I was like, I need something with female power and hitting or women. And, then it was called the Female Power Podcast, Women Hit Harder. So, and now just like women, I even have my own merch now.
Boom.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
With my sponsor Zebra. So they created them for me. I think they're really pretty.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this, and then I have my shirts and jackets and hoodies, caps, even my key bands and stuff.
Yeah. What number are you up to on your podcast?
Honestly,
I saw like over 50. I saw you had like over 50.
I have no idea because it's also a video podcast, so it's on
Yeah.
YouTube as well, but also on every other platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and stuff like that. I would need to really check it because I don't know. Because before I actually moved here, I was publishing every 2 weeks, and
Wow.
now obviously I had a lot of stuff going on. And then today there was just a new episode published, and I was like, wow, 5 months ago I did the last one. Like, oh, yeah. So there was a long gap between there, but yeah, today I released a new episode. Really good.
So what do you do outside of fighting? What other kind of hobbies you have? What do you do in South Florida? What do you like to do?
Well, honestly, I just enjoy the weather really much. So last week I had rescued a dog from the shelter, so he keeps me up. Look.
Oh, what is that? Like a bulldog?
It's a Stafford Weimaraner mix.
Oh,
His
Wow.
name is Rocky. His name is Rocky. Rocky's
nice.
just sleeping, but he hears his name and he's like, "What doing?" So yeah, I was gonna say he keeps me up. So we walk a lot, and I take him on runs and go to the beach. Obviously, he has to get used to me and the house and everything. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't really have much free time because when I'm not training, I always have to think like, in terms of how can I, find a way to establish myself here. So I was starting to teach classes for women's kickboxing. And then I started working with millions.co to stream for them, when the fights are on. So I commentate and I'm in touch with the people, with the fans. And obviously there's a lot of more to come. Like I just have to be smart and find a way besides training and the competition to establish myself.
yeah.
So
And
on your podcast, who's been your favorite interview? Like, who's your favorite person to interview?
Oh my God, this is so hard to say because it's so diverse. I had an astronaut,
I asked a
I had
hard question.
politicians, like actors. So I can't really tell.
Anyone stick out? Anyone stick out? Like wow! After the podcast, you're like, wow, that went really well.
Well, like as far when it comes to like emotion, I had this. Her name is Christina Vogel. She was a 10-time world champion and a few times Olympic champion in bicycle riding, like the speed
Yeah,
riding. And unfortunately, a few years ago, she had a really tragical accident where she like lost her legs. And I knew her before, like we were in touch, but actually like being in the podcast and also being human, but also trying to be professional and trying not to cry.
yeah,
When you hear that you have such a passionate human athlete, and then this happens.
wow,
So yeah, that was a tough one, and she's just great. Unfortunately, the podcast is in German, but she's also known like internationally. And Christina Vogel, big shout out to her. She, inspiring story.
yeah,
Yeah.
She
for
also
sure.
published a book, by the way. The title is "It's Still Me, but a Little Smaller," because obviously she's in a wheelchair. So I like how she's like a little, humorous about her own situation. And then
Yeah,
also what she does is like she's actually explaining to people, look, those handicapped parking lots have a special like width or wide for a reason, or you're not allowed to park too close. Like how else am I going to put my wheelchair out there and get in there
yeah,
if you park too close to me, and stuff like that. So, and then also we're talking about the sidewalks and how you cannot enter because it's just too hard to get up. And I don't know, she just does great work with that. She's actually, doing a lot of yeah, like how do you say Aufklärungsarbeit? I don't know in English. So she's like helping people to understand about the
yeah,
situation with like handicapped people. Also talking about there's so many people in wheelchairs or whatever for whatever reason, and how you have to get used to wearing a diaper even as an adult, but being in a live show or something. And this is like a taboo topic, right? But she
yeah,
just speaks about it and be like, look, this is what it is. Deal with it. And I
yeah.
was just like, wow,
And
very inspiring person.
that's the yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Who
the
would who would you like to interview if you can interview anyone?
Dana White.
Dana White? How come?
I don't know. I just want to talk to him. I feel like I want to have a drink with him and talk to him about everything. Because he's also a smart man, businessman, and he's been so successful. And obviously, I want to pick up a little bit, also speaking about MMA and, everything. I don't know. I just would love to sit down with him and talk.
Yeah.
yeah. And you'd be like, Dana, can I get on the card? Can I get?
Dana, I knew you were
Can I?
searching for a German featherweight fighter. I knew it. Who
You
also
don't
has
have
like
any. Come
character.
on.
Yes.
Yeah. I met Dana twice in South Florida. So um I met him twice. Nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah. Who do you like in the featherweight division in the UFC? Who would you want to fight?
Who would I like to fight?
UFC.
In the
Yeah.
featherweight division in the
Honestly,
UFC?
I would really love to fight Holly Holm.
Holly Holm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's always been so inspiring to me, and like obviously I'm not where she is, like experience wise as a pro. But I mean I had like 17 amateur fights, I had like over 800 judo fights and like a lot of other stuff going on. So I've proven I'm a good athlete if I'm not losing my shit or my mind just before the
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
So I would just maybe not like in a real like fight, but training, or even like in a fight. I don't know, because I think
Yeah.
between her and me would just be so much respect, like fair play. And I love this about fighters. If fighters have those attitude, they don't want to like just go out and hurt for no reason. Like be like unfair, go to the private area, poke the eye. When it happens, it happens. But some people do it purposely. You can tell. And I think Holly is like one of the people. She would not do that. She wants to win the clean way.
Yeah.
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 Well,
She
she's been
shocked the world as well. She shocked the world when she won the belt. Yeah.
But
And
well,
you guys are like the same height. You guys are the same height, right?
I think she's 5'8" or 5'9".
Yeah, very very close.
I saw her a couple of weeks ago up in Orlando, and she's easily 5'8", if not 5'9", but she still looks like she's in fighting shape, you know?
She is 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did commentating at the Amanda Serrano fight up there.
Nice.
Yeah. That would be a good fight.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Matt,
some exercises, I have to train my mind a little bit and like deal with a lot of stuff that I have going on in there. And once I'm cleaned up, I'm definitely, back to fighting. I think my next fight is in January in Invicta.
Invicta?
Okay.
Nice. And tell me a little bit about that. Where's it going to be?
If I had the information yet, I would like to share. After my fight in Boston, I was talking to Shannon, and she said the next fight is coming very soon. So she was talking about January.
Nice.
That's all I know.
Yeah, you just got to keep active. That's the most important. When you become professional, you want to get me in there. You just gotta keep doing it.
Right.
And it's hard. It's really hard. Talking about Dana White. So in Florida, he had his contender series where he wanted to find fighters. So he'd go to different gyms and watch different shows. So he came to watch Titan FC. And he comes with his crew and they watch the fighters. And at the end of the event, he's like, let's see he offered Gilbert Burns a contract to fight. Right, Matt? It was Gilbert?
Yes, he did.
Yes. So because he's like, I saw you fight. You're a superstar. I can tell. Like, you just go to you see so many fights. He just knows. Like, he's like, what? Look at that guy. He blocked this. He did it. He knows what someone who fit in very well in UFC is like. And he saw it in Gilbert Burns. And look at Gilbert Burns now. Like, he's like a superstar in the UFC,
Yeah.
For sure.
And this is great. Like the contender series idea. It's like the same idea as PFL Challenger series, and I think it's great. But I have to say though, because I always have to say it no matter where I'm on, whatever podcast or whatever interview I give, talking about the featherweight division. I feel like this is so nonsense to try to take this away from the girls. There are a lot of tall women fighters out there. Look at Megan Anderson, for example. Look at Holly. Look at me. Like, why? How could you expect us to go down to 135 all the time? Like, I couldn't even do it. Like, I'm already out when I'm 66 kilos or 145, Anyway, so why would they always speak about taking the featherweight division away? I think it's just such an exciting division. And also lightweight. Like, why would you take the lightweight? Like, Kayla is the perfect lightweight. All those girls. Give the lightweight to them. Why do the women's? Why is the heaviest division the featherweight or the bantam? Are you serious? Like, look, there's so many heavyweight fighters or heavyweight divisions for men. Why would you take the tall girl weight class out of there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's a good argument.
I know. Especially, like, look at Cyborg. She did this like thing. That's why she never actually fought in the UFC, and then she's still with Bellator because they always offered her catchweight bouts, and they wouldn't let her fight in featherweight. And then she actually said something, and she, put herself out there, so the audience got to know about her issues. And then a couple of weeks later, UFC offered her a fight in featherweight, right? But then by the time she was like, you know what, thank you. At least this is what I know from the news and stuff. But I feel like they should have given her the shot way earlier.
Yeah, way earlier. She's like, long time ago they should have. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's exciting fighter to watch as well.
She's actually like I think very soon she's fighting against Leah McCord from Dublin, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Gonna be good. I'm excited.
Do you plan on defending your pillow fighting championship?
Say it again.
I asked her that. He's talking about the pillow. You're gonna defend it. Your pillow fighting championship.
Yeah. I said when it fits my schedule, I'm happy to do it. If not, because I'm not here to fight pillow. I was here to fight MMA. And I said, obviously it's fun and it's great and I love it. I love the sport, but it has to fit with my other stuff.
Right.
Nice.
All right. My sound is breaking up a little, so I'm going to go. But Julia, it was nice talking to you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
But my connection's not too good.
I can tell.
So I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Take care. Happy shopping.
Yeah. So just a few more questions. So, inspiration wise, this woman, what was her name again with the legs? The
Christina Vogel.
Huber?
No, Christina Vogel. Vogel in German means bird.
Okay, Christina.
Vogel.
So it's a tragedy that had happened to her, but it's like she does motivational speeches and stuff, and she doesn't want people to feel bad for her, because she, she chose her life, and it's really inspiring. Would you like to do something like that, like to do motivational speaking about MMA, women's MMA and stuff like that?
It's funny that you asked that because I already do that, like in Germany and even here. I had a few keynotes already, talking about like all kinds of stuff, the psychology behind and motivation and never giving up and
Yeah.
being smart and obviously risking something and all that stuff. So I already do that, but obviously I would appreciate if it gets more regularly, like let's say every 2 weeks or something, every 3 weeks.
Yeah, because I mean that I'm gonna look her up right now and watch some of her videos and stuff. It's I never got into bike riding, like competition wise, and nobody that I know had gotten into that as well. It's I don't think it's as big as it is in Europe and all those other places, but yeah, for sure. This guy asks if you want to fight bare knuckle. No, she doesn't fight bare knuckle, not yet.
Not yet.
Just MMA, judo, and pillow fighting.
And sumo and grappling.
Sumo. To tell me about that. So you do some sumo wrestling?
I did sumo wrestling, from 2016. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna do it again. It's just the same with my schedule. But I love sumo. It's just such a great and fast and explosive sport. And also,
Yeah.
what's interesting about sumo, obviously, it's very like old and traditioned. But once you like sit down with your opponent, you're so close to each other in the dojo. You're like this far from each other before the fight actually starts, and you have to like, because you have to like stand this eye contact and this like anger that people might feel or something. So that was intense. That was a good exercise for me.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever seen women do that. Wow, I gotta look that up. I haven't seen women do the sumo. Are they as big as the men in the sumo women?
Well, unfortunately, this is the one other thing also that I was facing on Women Hit Harder. And for men, it is a professional sport, but it's not allowed for women to use this as their professional sport. So that's why you only have the Yokozuna men and not women.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's why I guess I haven't seen it.
women
But
can
they
only
do. The women wear a gi or no gi? What do they wear?
No, the women wear like a wrestling tricot and the mawashi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. And how'd you like it? Did you like it? You liked it?
I loved it. It was great. It's a great sport.
Yeah. Would if you got a phone call from like karate combat, would you try that?
Yes.
Yes. Because that's I've been watching it. It's real fun
I love
to watch.
those events that they do, for example, in Miami. Oh my God, this is so great. I would love to fight there, man.
Yeah.
Call me in.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta talk to Mr. Black.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on. Any last words to your fans and your homeland, sponsors? Anyone you want to shout out to?
Oh my God, this is gonna be a long one. I thank everybody so much who's supporting me in the good and the bad times. I thank Zebra. I thank Harley Davidson. I thank the American Top Team. I thank Relax and Get Results. I thank my home club Randori Pro and all my coaches and my friends and family and everybody who was involved with me and my sport. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And off to the next one.
Let's go. Let's go. So when you thank American Top Team, I got a funny story about American Top Team. So your coach, Mr. Brown, I saw him fight at the Hard Rock a long, long time ago when he beat who did he beat? Uriah Faber.
Oh,
Like this was a long time ago. What was it? It was called WEC when he won the WEC belt.
Wow, that's so cool.
I seen him. I saw him. So this is I'm talking like at least 10 years ago. I saw him fight, which was real exciting.
That's really cool, man. When you take to 2 years or 3 years of COVID away from me, I only started with MMA in 2015. Now we have 2023, so it's not that long, and I'm still like obviously learning and just in the beginning of my pro career.
Yeah,
It's gonna be exciting. I'm
nice.
on my own path.
Well, thank you so much. When you get a fight booked, we'd like to have you on again. And for sure. Thanks again.
Steven, thank you so much. Say hi to Matt. I hope his connection is better next time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Os.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. So, thank you so much, Juliana, coming on. Dorny, follow her right there on Instagram, Julia, Julia, Dorny, Dorny. Great story, great background. Just, she trains judo her whole life. And she got a big shot. And she's pro now. Wow, what a great story. I got Mike in the background. He wants to talk about some boxing. So we got the downtown boxing reporter, Mikey.
What's up,
Weinberg.
everybody?
What's up there?
What's up, Steve? Everything go well on the show?
Yeah, it was great. Wow, what a great story. I mean, what a great story about Julia. From Berlin, Germany, moves to Coconut Creek, Florida to, have her dreams of being a professional MMA fighter come to fruition, and it did. She's a professional MMA fighter. Trains at the best gym, American Top Team. Yeah, it's so we're gonna talk about some boxing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the big headline for me right now is that I don't know if anybody's paying attention to this, but that December 23rd date out there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was originally supposed to be the Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk, mega fight to unify all the belts for, an undisputed champion. But of course, that got pushed back mostly because of Fury's last fight, because it kind of lasted a little longer, the nick on the head. They just want to give it some space. So they've pushed theirs back till February. But that December 23rd date, though, that's still going on. And let me just kind of give you an idea of who's on that card, because this has got to be the biggest card I've seen in a long time. So you got, former undisputed champion Anthony Joshua. He will be fighting on that card. He's fighting Otto Wallin, a friend of the Fighting News, who we've interviewed not all that long ago. And if you know Wallin, he's only got that one loss, long time ago. And that was to Tyson Fury. And if you remember that fight, people, that was when, he hurt Fury. He had him hurt. It looked bad for Fury for a long time. You think that the fight that Ngannou just gave Fury look good. You should see the fight that Wallin gave Fury all those years ago. And so Otto Wallin, with only that one single loss, will be taking on Anthony Joshua. So it's not a walk in the park for Joshua. And the idea for Joshua here is that he needs this win. And the main reason is because on that same card, which is really interesting, Deontay Wilder is taking on Joseph Parker. So right there, between Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, you've got 3 former heavyweight champs of the world right there on the card as the co-main and main events. And with Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker, again, this is not going to be an easy fight. You know, you're talking about Deontay Wilder, sure. You know, other than Tyson Fury, he's not only beaten everybody he's faced, but he's knocked them all out. We're talking about, 42 knockouts in this guy's career. But Joseph is not a slouch, He was the former WBO heavyweight champ of the world. He had losses to Joshua, unfortunately. He had, a couple other losses that he took, I think, to White, and then more recently, Joe Joyce. But this will be Joseph Parker's 4th fight here in 2023. And, he's just knocking people, going right through it. So he's primed and ready. He wants to get himself back in that situation, to that heavyweight picture. And I think they have him ranked as the number 12 heavyweight overall, but I think he should be ranked a little higher. So Wilder and Parker, not going to be an easy fight. Joshua and Wallin, not going to be an easy fight. But in addition to that, you also have Daniel Dubois, who's coming off his loss, obviously, that we know of, to Tyson Fury. And he's going to be taking on Jarrell Miller, Big Baby Miller. They got that big fight coming up. So you've got another couple of top 20 heavyweights fighting each other, and they're trying to put themselves back in position. And if Jarrell Miller...
When's that fight? When's that fight? When's Jarrell Miller fight?
It's the same card, man. I'm talking about the same card.
On the same card, yeah.
All the same card, yep.
And it's all heavyweights? All heavyweights?
No, well, those 3 are heavyweights, but then you've got some others that are not, because in addition to those guys fighting, you also have Dimitri Bivol, and I think, Steve, you know who I'm talking about there. People most famously know him for having beaten Canelo Alvarez, although he's got, a lot more on his resume than just that. And Bivol also beat Gilberto Ramirez, another friend of the Fighting News we've spoken with recently, who was 44-0 at the time. And Bivol, I think, if he wasn't announced as the Fighter of the Year through all media outlets last year, he probably should have been. So Bivol's taking on a fighter named by the name of Lyndon Arthur. I think is a 1-loss fighter, but this is probably more of a one-sided type of thing. It'd be my guess. Bivol's trying to put himself in position. He also wants to unify between Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, who's also fighting in January around the same time. It's not a coincidence. I'm sure they're probably looking to try to unify those belts and find an undisputed light heavyweight champ. So those 4 fights alone are amazing, but you still have more. I mean, you've got Filip Hrgovic, who's another top 10 heavyweight, who's going to be fighting. Frank Sanchez, who's obviously fought most of his fights down here, Steve. You and I have seen at least 4 or 5 of his fights live down here in South Florida. And you've got Makhmudov, who's another fighter who has done some amazing things here in recent times. So you've got this ridiculous card out there. It's almost worth it for us maybe to think about flying out there to Saudi Arabia ourselves to check it out.
Road trip.
This is quite a card.
Yeah, so I haven't seen Big Baby fight live ever. So I'd love to see him fight live. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I see him at all the local fighting events. He trains here, trains there, trains at Delray Boxing. So I see him all the time. I'd love to see him get one of these like ridiculous payday fights, because his name is still relevant in there, and the other day, you're talking about all heavyweights. Francis Ngannou is ranked top 10.
Yeah.
He fought 1 boxing fight and he's ranked top 10.
Which is interesting.
Which is very interesting. I mean, I guess they're saying, he went the distance with the champ, so why not?
Yeah, I saw the fight eventually because I didn't watch it live, as you know.
Yeah.
But I saw it was a very choppy like replay of the fight, so things were kind of bouncing back and forth. But from what I saw, it was a pretty competitive fight, I would best guess. There's no question Tyson Fury definitely had the more tactical advantage throughout the fight. He was doing more of the boxing, but Ngannou threw some definitely heavy shots in there. I can see why people thought that maybe he deserved a victory, but a lot of people don't understand exactly the way the judging works, and that's a topic for another day for us to probably have on the show, and we can get into it in detail. But definitely Tyson Fury won that fight, on the cards for sure, if you look at it and knew what they were working on. But it was close. There was no question it was close. People say, hey, it looked like a draw. Yeah, okay, it could be argued that way. So they're talking, can we do a rematch? All right, well, Tyson Fury's got some business to take care of right now in fighting Usyk. Fury recently said, once I fight Usyk, I'm going to probably vacate the belt, or at least one or two of those belts if he has mandatory fights, because he has other things planned. He's not somebody who needs to chase the belts anymore. He's already had all the belts, the lineal belt, and as well as the Ring magazine. So, for him to have them all at one time, he doesn't really care. But he can win it, obviously, beating Usyk. He can get all those belts, and once he has them, he has no intention of really hanging on to them just to run around and defend everything as being told to do. But yeah, a lot of big fights still for him. He's not. So we'll see what he does with Usyk. We'll see if it's competitive enough that maybe it demands a rematch, because they have a rematch clause on both sides. They may do it twice. After that, look, I just named a bunch of other guys that are right there in line, ready to fight him too. So Fury can keep himself pretty busy with all the names that are out there, all the big fights. But Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, we're leading towards that finally. After all these years, we're trying to lean finally to that fight. So it's got to be that they have to both hold their hands up in victory, and it has to look pretty good for them to be able to have that fight and make it next year. If they barely win the fights, or if they don't win the fights, and there's always a chance that they both don't win, then that kind of screws things up for them again in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. We got an exciting 2024 coming up. For sure. So it was funny, Mike. Matt had asked our guest Julia, what was her favorite person, because she's got a podcast in Germany. So what was her favorite episode? And she had mentioned a bicyclist that won like 10 times champion Christina bicycle, and she fell off her bike and had an accident and couldn't walk again. So now she's going around. That was her most her favorite podcast. So I'm gonna pop that to you. What's your favorite podcast that we have done? Because we've done over 50 interviews with famous people all over. What was your most memorable podcast that we've had?
That's probably a really good question. We did so much. I could probably only think back, within the last couple of years, because anything beyond that, it's like a distant memory. Interviews are one thing, but you're talking podcasts. So, I thought it was interesting when we talked to Gilberto Ramirez. Just mentioned his name a little while ago. Because of the caliber of the fighter that he is, and it was interesting going more into detail with somebody like him, because if everybody hasn't watched that, hopefully you can go back in history and check it out. He's definitely worth listening to. But Gilberto Ramirez, who at the time I think was 42-0, 43-0, and he was going for his next fight, and now he's 44-0 when he took that loss against Bivol. Yeah. But that was the fight just before Bivol. Talking to him, because he's of Mexican descent, and he still spends most of his time down in Mexico, and he fought a lot of his career in Mexico. And talked to him, and I asked him about Jaime Munguia, former junior middleweight champ, also, who's now a middleweight fighting, who's also undefeated. You get these Mexican fighters that are really, really amazing. I know early on in their career, they're kind of fighting club fights, and some of these guys they fight aren't really trained to do so. They're just trying to make a quick buck. But as they start building up that career, they're fighting guys with that Mexican mentality, like real qualified, trained fighters, Mexican mentality. And they're fighting solid guys. That's why some of these Mexican fighters that come over become world champions. And talking to him about the politics that are in it, just he can't get his name recognition out there, the difficulty of trying to learn the language to try to become more relevant here. Just like Canelo Alvarez, didn't speak a lick of English, but he just got with the right crowd and finally got there, and now does speak English and finally has the opportunities he didn't have before. Talking to guys like that, because it's fighters that people don't see, that they don't know are there, that we're paying attention to. We're plucking them out, and we're trying to show them to the world here on our podcasts. And Gilberto Ramirez was a perfect example. So just because he lost that one fight to Bivol doesn't mean he's anywhere near done. You know, he's still a young guy, and he could probably take out almost everyone else in that division with a couple of exceptions.
Right.
So I expect a lot of things from him. And should he choose to move to cruiserweight, he can wipe that whole division up, would be my best guess. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He can get there. So I think that's one. That was probably one good we had.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What about you? What do you remember?
So I have a lot of favorite shows. I have a lot of favorite meetings. You know, one of my favorite shows to this day was the Heavyweight Factory Night of Heavyweights.
Yeah.
That was the best event I've been to in my life. It was like everyone that I've grown up watching fighting was there. It was like the night of the night. I mean, that was probably the best event I've ever been to. The best interview was probably Evander Holyfield years ago when we got invited to the Heavyweight Factory to interview him. And that's boxing, of course. And then MMA, we got invited to interview Royce Gracie, which was like, you know, this guy started the UFC into fame. You know, that was a highlight. And you know, going to Palm Beach Boxing, a place where I watch amateurs fight for the, you know, Florida Golden Gloves, and then seeing Mike Tyson at that gym was another highlight for me.
Sure.
You know, and then, you know, Shannon the Cannon Briggs, you know, has been my entertainment for, you know, ever. You know, you know, I see him at all the events. He's always a nice guy, always says hello to the Fighting News. You know, he's just so flamboyant and just, he's really great guy to talk to. You know, always gives us the time of day for an interview, for a shout out, for, you know, whatever we need. And, you know, I'm just, you know, I saw Shannon, at Madison Square Garden, and his fight basically got me into the Fighting News, you know, so he's been an inspiration to me. When he fought Jamil McCline, I was there ringside. So, you know, right after that, the Fighting News was formed. So, you know, Shannon, you know, is definitely one of those guys that, you know, he's like TFN family, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, no, we got to know him so well over the years, and it's always great to see him and talk to him. And since he's so team all these great events, and he's always very charismatic, you know, very outgoing personality.
Let's go, champ.
Yeah, I mean, self-promoted for most of his career, and you know, for good reason. You know, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to get to them. I remember how he was running all over the world, literally chasing Vladimir Klitschko, and you know, remember that? You remember how he was just chasing him everywhere? He runs to the restaurant. He grabbed his plate, ate his food. He's out in the water with a speedboat, knocks Klitschko off his like paddleboard or wherever he was doing it.
Yeah, that went viral.
It's just all that stuff, man, that he was doing was great. And then, you know, and then I caught him, you know, when he was at the gym with us during the night of the heavyweights, talking about a couple days prior. Klitschko sees him like, Jesus Christ, here he is again. And he walked in, and I got that whole thing where they started like,
he grabbed his beard.
Klitschko nearly knocked my phone out of my hand when I was recording it at the time. That was it's always fun with Shannon, man. You know, it's never a dull moment when he's around. And he was out at, you know, Warriors, and he was training with the guys when we went to go see him, you know, way back when, if you remember, when Stan had brought over all those fighters. And, you know, he's got a good camp of fighters there, too.
Yeah.
It was great. You know, Shannon was in there just, you know, talking them up and helping out wherever way he can. And that's the thing about Shannon. You know, he'll help you out in any which way you can. You know, if he could do something for you, he will. So he's a good guy to. So, hey, Shannon, if you're watching, good to see you.
Let's go, champ.
See you again soon.
So a fighter that I met through Shannon is Trevor the Bryant, Trevor the Dream Bryant, who we just saw fight last couple weeks ago for the Don King 92nd his 92nd birthday event. And so I was talking to one of his trainers, and he had gone like 12 rounds like a few days before. And supposedly, you know, he wasn't feeling 100% going into the fight. And he fought, anyway, which, fighters want to fight, sometimes they're 100%, sometimes they're 98, 99, whatever. But, the coach, they were in the corner, they were saying, throw the right. We heard it like 10 times, throw the right. And the right never came. He was, something was up over here to throw the right. He did not look good. And then when he had gotten knocked out, he landed on his face, and they had to get a stretcher and stretch him out. And so update on Trevor is he's doing good. He still doesn't have, he still can't go like this or have the feeling in the fingers or his toes, but he's moving around, on a walker thing, and he's walking very slowly. But it's not like it's he's going to get better. The doctors all have high hopes that he's going to be 100%. So so that's good.
That's what I had wondered, because we obviously talked about that. I didn't make it down there to watch the fight with you guys, obviously that night. So I did eventually catch a replay of it, and kind of saw how it went. I sort of was pausing and forwarding and backing up just to kind of see how it went down. And I saw him like jerk his leg when he was laying flat on the ground, but then I realized it wasn't him. I think it was Alan, the doctor. He ended up like stepping on his foot when I look back at it again. So yeah, he didn't have much motion then, although he was talking, he was awake. So I got a little concerned. I actually, I had texted Trevor directly a couple days after the fact and still haven't gotten a response back. I know you spoke to one of the trainers. We won't talk about, who was helping train at the time, give out the information, but I know you found that information out. And then I actually also had texted, I didn't tell you this, I texted one of the doctors that was there that night that was helping him out.
Yeah.
Try to get a diagnosis. These guys are, if you guys don't know this, but most of the doctors who actually help out there the nights of the fights, they're usually orthopedic surgeons. So these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that was the case that night, because I know the crew that was there, and I did text one of the doctors about it. But again, I haven't gotten a response back. It's almost like nobody really wants to say anything because they don't want to say the wrong thing. But it's nice that you heard got motion, mobility, fingers, toes. Interesting you say fingers and toes. Those were extremities. With my back injury that I had earlier in the year, I still have numbness in my fingers myself. But I know that stems from neck injury. It comes from the neck directly. Usually anything below the waist is coming from something in your back, your spine, your lower area, your lumbar. So you say fingers and toes, and they usually don't go together. I'm not a doctor. Maybe I'm wrong. They usually don't go together. It's fingers by the neck, and if it's toes, so it could be something in his spine. Just maybe a disc got shifted out and maybe he's pushing against the nerve or something. I'm experiencing all this, right? A lot of medication. So I have knowledge, but, hopefully it's something he can get past. Maybe it's a surgery. Maybe it's just something he can get, resolved just with a little bit of treatment. But, I'm hopeful for him. I hope it all works itself out. It's remained to be seen, what he'll do in his career moving forward. He was off to a great career, right? I mean, he had 20 straight victories, no losses. He took that WBA World Heavyweight Championship, unfortunately lost to Dubois, but that was the only loss he had. He's bouncing back. Here he fought Cassius Chaney, who was a great fighter, who had the equal record he had, where they both were 21-1 with 15 knockouts, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a toss-up what would have happened. But I did see what you're saying. Trevor didn't look like Trevor when he was fighting that night. He looked a little lethargic. We've seen him definitely fight and look better than that. So, he does get better, has a full recovery. I know that it can be that way, but I'm hopeful based on what you're saying. And then hopefully he'll get back in the gym at some point, and it could take some time before you can get rehab. But, inside of a year, it would be nice to see him back in a ring again, right back on his path to victory. We'll see if he can climb back up that heavyweight rankings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trevor. Get well.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
For sure, man. For sure. So, talking about boxing here for a minute. So, there's a great fight that's coming up next Saturday. If you didn't know, in the super middleweight division, which is David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. And these guys, man,
Whoa.
they're two of the best. Andrade just came up from middleweight not that long ago to super middle because he's trying to chase, the better fights. He's like the boogeyman. Nobody wanted to fight him. It was the same thing when he was a junior middleweight. He had the belt. Nobody wanted to go near him. You give him middleweight.
And it's facts. Those are facts, Mike.
Those
are facts. No one wanted to fight the guy. Yeah,
they wouldn't do it. And there's reasons why. Again, it's all political. But it really kind of comes down to the fact that he's a dangerous fighter. He really is a dangerous fighter, and he's very, very tactical. He's a southpaw. He's an undefeated 2-division champion now. He had the length to make it up to super middleweight, no problem. And he's just that guy that nobody wants to touch. But Benavidez is like, listen, I'm a bigger guy. I'm more natural at super middleweight. I'm going to come in there bigger, stronger for sure, and I'm going to show what I can do. And I'm a little upset that Andrade had to take this fight, as he's trying to make a bigger fight at super middleweight. But I think he just kind of threw his hands up and said, "You got to do it, right?" And I have to figure that the caliber of these two fighters, the fact that they're going to fight each other, whatever the outcome happens to be, I would best guess that whoever wins that has got to be in line to fight Canelo next. And I haven't heard anything from Canelo. I mean, I haven't seen anything, no activity. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe I just didn't catch it. But maybe he's not fighting again until May. He's just going to wait it out. He was so busy this past year, but I guess he's slowing it down for whatever reason. But he always fights that, May 5th weekend. So maybe he's waiting to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised he's sitting ringside watching this fight next week, Benavidez and Andrade. And let's see if he wants to take on that winner. And, for Andrade's purpose, that would be great because he's not in the conversation to fight Canelo right now. And so he's trying to put himself in that conversation, which is why he said, screw it. I'll take this fight with Benavidez and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Benavidez has kind of had like a second coming. He had a great career early on. Then he had the suspension and a lot of issues going on personally. Left boxing, came back to boxing, and now he's kind of the second coming through it again. And he's an amazing fighter. He's got to be one of the best, if not the best, super middleweight. So let's see if Andrade can change people's thinking that night and say, it's not him, it's me. But it'll definitely be Benavidez.
Bunch of good fights coming up to end 2023.
Yeah. So Benavidez coming forward, with the power. Andrade, trying the angles, the defensive maneuvers that he's got, the southpaw stance, all that crazy stuff that confused Benavidez. It is a fight to watch. I mean, I'm really excited to watch that one. Just as excited as I am to see that December 23rd card we were talking about earlier with all the other stuff going on. Benavidez and Andrade don't need anything else on the card for that to be a good card. That one fight is the whole card. That's it right there. And I'm not even sure who else is on the card. I haven't paid attention.
Yeah.
But, something I want to catch next week, and we'll report about the results of that. Eventually, we have a show after the fact.
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
Yeah, man. So
Sounds
good about that. So boxing's got some excitement going on here in the next couple of months. So everybody pay attention. They're not the side shows that some people like. They're the real fights. So if you don't want to watch real boxing, then go watch a sideshow. But otherwise, boxing.
Yes, sir. So we got the Florida Golden Gloves coming up in 2024. It's going to be a 3-day event at the Hard Rock, just like usual. Qualifiers, semis, and finals on a Sunday. And that's, we're going to get involved with that. Florida Golden Gloves, shout out. This is, future superstars of America. I love going to these events. These kids really, really fight their hearts out, and it's really exciting to watch. And even some of the boxers that you mentioned, they all fought in the Golden Gloves when they were kids, so it's it's real exciting. It really is.
Yeah.
So we're going to get involved with that this year, next year. And that's it. We're going to do a show next week. We're going to talk about more boxing, combat sports.
Okay. That sounds good.
So-
Yeah. We'll put something together. It'll be good. I'll jump on.
Yeah. So check us out. As always, The Fighting News, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Check it out. Like, subscribe, comment. And that's the story. That's the show. Thank you so much.
Wear the hats, wear the shirts. That's it.
Yes. Tag us. All that good stuff.
Sounds
Peace.
good. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon.